We've got a really exciting presentation here for you today. Learn about some interesting how to harness XR with our guests, presenters Doug, Stephen, and Micah White.
Thank you, everybody. 2 questions. How many people have ever been exposed, if you can raise your hand, to an unruly passenger on a plane, or at least seen that? How many of you are unruly passengers? Oh, we got a few.
Be honest.
At least got some honesty there. So the thing we're going to show today is specific with our partner, Scoot Airlines, which is a subsidiary of Singapore Air. And they're doing onboarding training for their stewards and airline stewardesses to really take a look at how they can train more effectively unruly passengers. And you know, before I get into that, I just want to say what we're going to be showing is a combination of XR as well as generative AI, which is really fascinating. A little bit of a background on who we are. Like I say, I'm Doug, and this is Micah.
Guys.
Our pedigree is learning, but our passion is technology. And we marry the two together really to drive the business results of our customers. And just to give you an example, back in 2009, we were asked by Hewlett-Packard to try to drive more revenue for their data center capacity group. So we created a digital twin that was of a data center that was 1.2 kilometers square. And we had all the salespeople walk through the chillers and the generators and the servers, and they'd make recommendations on how to upgrade the systems. In 2015, when Google Cardboard came out, we retrofitted so everybody could do VR. So we've been doing this for quite a while. One of the things that really interested us was we thought there was something with VR and soft skills. And I can remember one of my clients, it's a software company, but people think of them as a credit card company. They said, you know, we built this fantastic VR experience, but at the end of the day, it was just glorified multiple choice. And we said, there's got to be something better. There's got to be some way that we can create role playing and scale it. So people at the front line can have role playing, whether they're at McDonald's, whether they're at Walmart, so that they can basically prepare for leadership skills, customer service skills, sales skills, negotiating skills. So we looked at this and we said, at that time, it was about 2.5 years out, we just got involved with the OpenAI Foundation, which has ChatGPT-4. And we said, this is the aha moment where we think we can tie in any sort of soft skills using generative AI. And when we took a look at a study from Deloitte, $62 billion is what they think is going to be spent on soft skills by 2027. But we said it has to be engaging. So with our permission from Scoot Airlines, we're going to show a demonstration. It's going to be specifically about how to handle unruly passengers. But we're going to give you some background on what you need to do if you decide that you want to do some sort of soft skills, whether it's negotiating, like I said, whether it's customer sales. You see, a lot of people have their own IP, and you can get this up and running very quickly. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand it off to Mike, and he's going to drive the presentation.
Thanks a lot, Doug. Hey, everybody. Glad you could make it. So when we work with Scoot Airlines, you have to, and many of you might already understand and know this, for the last 25 years, enterprise learning has offered simulations basically written to order, written on specification, and the end user or the learner basically goes through and selects if they think something's correct or incorrect, multiple choice exams, things of that nature. So bringing in generative AI offers a paradigm shift where we can now communicate in a much more human-like way with synthetic voices, synthetic people in virtual reality, and we can orchestrate prompt engineering to create exactly the type of passenger, exactly the type of opponent that the learner could best learn from. So the AI gets to understand where the learner's at and what their proficiencies are, and then the AI is used to create personas that get to increase their skill. So we're presenting role-playing at scale. We feel this has unlimited applications. We've talked to a lot of people this morning from the banking industry, finance, and we're all working with partners. But there's a large opportunity in negotiation, as Doug mentioned, sales, customer service.
Before we start, we also, we say that we have what's called immersive learning as a service, where people who just want to try it out and they want to get access to their Oculus Quest, they need to get shipped and it's got to be sterilized. I'll give you an example. American Red Cross is a client of us, and we've trained over 6,000 phlebotomists over the past 2 years, and we actually ship and do demand capacity and ship the Oculus Quest to each of their homes so they can get the training, and we pack it up and send it back. So there's efficiencies at scale. So go ahead, Micah.
Sure. And I'll just mention too, even though we've selected XR, obviously, virtual reality for this, the technology works in multiple modalities. So if you want to think about a web endpoint, interactive video endpoint, something on Quest or other devices as well.
Now, before we start this, we're going to show you, this is a video, but it's a video because we don't have internet here. If you come to our booth at 524, you can actually see it live, and you can actually talk to the avatar and get responses back.
Yeah, awesome. So this video is rolling right up. Let me just set it up for us. You're going to see inside the virtual reality education. You're going to walk around the Scoot Airline. It's a beautiful 787 aircraft. And what we've got is a coach that welcomes you on the plane. They've been fed with all of Scoot Airlines customer manuals, standard operating procedures, technical procedures, soft skills, how to interact with the public, how the ticket agents are supposed to act, everything about Scoot Airlines itself, its fleet, passengers, everything. So when you go speak to this, source of truth, the coach is always there. You can ask it anything you want. It's not selecting a multiple choice. It's synthetic. You basically ask with your voice. That gets converted to speech to text. That text gets run in a prompt orchestration. The prompt is completed and you get information back and you can iterate. So you'll see that, and then what'll happen is you'll walk along the cabin just briefly and find a passenger who is you need to interact with.
And just to give you a sense, you talk about how long does this take. It's because we're not doing decision trees. We package all of your data, we convert it, put it into an index. This whole thing can be completed in less than 8 weeks, from the design of the scene right up to the questions to the scoring. So it's pretty fast.
Awesome. Okay, let's play it. You wanna run it?
We'll run it.
Okay, we're gonna run it. Here it comes.
Hello, I'm your personal Scoot AI assistant. Ask me what LEAP stands for. Hold down X to speak or press Y to activate the virtual keyboard.
Okay, tell me what LEAP stands for.
LEAP stands for Listen, Empathize, Ask, and Paraphrase. It is a useful tool for most passenger interactions where the passenger needs something. It helps to find a positive solution for the passenger. Move through the plane and note any opportunities to use the LEAP method.
Okay, I'm going to absolutely do that. But first, can you tell me how many people are on this plane when it's in the air?
The number of passengers on board depends on the type of aircraft. For example, the Boeing 787 Dreamliner has 35 Scootbus class seats and 340 economy class seats.
Okay, and how many cabin crew work on the flight?
The number of cabin crew on board depends on the aircraft type and the number of passengers. Generally, there is one cabin crew for every 50 passengers.
I just wanted to thank you for all your assistance.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure to help. Is there anything else I can do for you?
So we're going to have a passenger just decide to go to another seat because he wants to.
Sometimes you will need to handle difficult situations positively while working to find the best possible solution for the passenger by using the LEAP technique. In this scenario, 1 hour into takeoff, you realize that a male passenger has taken over seat 6C in Scoot in silence. The seat is supposed to be empty. You'll have an opportunity to interact with the customer using the LEAP technique next.
Hi, sir. I noticed you've changed your seat. Was there any issue from the previous seat?
Yes, the recliner wasn't working and I had no leg room. I need to get some rest on this 6-hour flight.
I am sorry to hear your experience, sir. I do believe all our passengers should feel comfortable during the flight. Allow me to look into this and make your flight a comfortable one.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
May I ask what your previous seat number was?
It was seat 16A.
Do allow me to consult my crew in charge to see how we will be able to assist you in making the rest of your flight a more comfortable one.
That would be great, thank you.
You did well in listening and empathizing with the passenger. However, you could have asked more open-ended questions and summarized the issue to confirm understanding. Overall, you scored 7 out of 10. If you want to challenge yourself, try again on a higher difficulty.
So something that's interesting about the sim that you just saw, the interaction with the coach was entirely synthetic. You asked it questions. We ran a GPT index, which is an on-prem document collection of PDFs that are pattern recognized by the LLM.
Like none of this was scripted. That's what we're trying to say. It just
Yeah.
it reacts to your voice of what you've said, and then it gives you a response back.
If you go off the wall, they'll basically, call you on it as such, and they'll get to the scoreboard and they'll explain. The voice of the coach at the end talking about what you did right and what you did wrong, that's generative as well. So we fed in the model of what LEAP at the Scoot Airline is supposed to be doing. We then feed all the sentiment and tone analysis and the actual text that was recorded. The AI makes a decision on how well you did and also prescribes where you should go next, if you should try a harder difficulty setting or if you should go. And this is not a pre-prompted based on a number. It's based on many, many factors. So it's just a very exciting, I think, paradigm shift from the conventional e-learning world where for 25 years we were doing multiple choice testing.
Yeah, so what's really interesting about this is that, if you're doing leadership skills, you can lay out what you think is going to be most important. You feed it in once, then you have all your data. And then it will make those decisions based upon what you think is important, especially say if you're doing safety training. And there's a certain feature that you must do. If you don't complete it, you completely fail. You can get everything else right. So you can lay out the variables yourself. You just let us know, we work with you to be able to put that into the index. And then it becomes freeform. So you can talk as you want. So this is not, if I guessed the right answer, because it's judging how you're saying your questions. It's judging you how you say it from an empathy point of view. And then as well, it's doing the scoring based upon what you think is important once. And once it has that algorithm that you think is important, then it's going to give you the score. These scores can be fed back to what's called a learning record store, so you can do analytics. For people in education, you can embed this in a storyline. It doesn't have to have an Oculus Quest, though we think you get the best experience from this.
That's great, Doug, absolutely. So just behind the scenes a little bit on the solution for anyone who's a technologist here or interested. So we have our on-prem GPT indexing service. That's the collection of documentations. Amazing, amazing call out. If your company has a strong identity, maybe you have a code of conduct or you have a style guide or you have a way, like a voice of the company, we can feed those documents into the index. And the coach that actually interacts with the learners is going to sound like they are an ambassador of your company. They'll actually take on attributes because we tell it to do that. So we've got instructional design to look at like the airline's policies and procedures, like the LEAP method. Takes a more smaller role than probably typically in enterprise learning because we are relying on the new technology. We do a lot with text-to-speech and speech-to-text, digitizing images, different things to get information transferred. We have our PDF documents, which are all of Scoot's airline manuals and how to deal with customers. They're stored in vector-stored databases, so LangChain, Pinecone for memory are two popular avenues there. And then we're also orchestrating with a web application that basically fits the conversation opponents with personality traits. And we use a model called the Big Five.
So one thing, the question is, people say, well, I've got IP, I don't want the learning model to understand it. We can take all your data and we can have it on your premises. So all of your documents stay there. What happens is they will see the prompt information. We're going to show you what a prompt looks like. We're also going to show you what a personality thing looks like. But you can protect your IP from any of these large language models learning from what you have. So there is protection built in as well.
Yeah, it's a big question we get a lot. That's why we're emphasizing. So this is a little bit about Big Five. So it's also called Ocean. So you got your open to experience, your conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. If we want to give the stewardesses that are taking training, if we want to give them a hard time in a hard mode, what we might want to do is turn agreeableness way down. And then we'll take extroversion and we'll turn it way up. And so you're getting into like the dark triad, you're getting people maybe with narcissistic tendencies. You can see the variables here for an easy simulation setting. So we're actually feeding GPT a bunch of variables. I call them like Dungeons and Dragons attributes, right? If you're a magic user, you have high intelligence, low strength. Same kind of thing, you give it different weights, and then the AI actually behaves along the line with these variables.
So we would work with you if these 5 sections aren't what you like. We would help you work on your sections, and then you would go your 5 different levels. And then the model would learn from it. Would just understand it in the type of person. So it's just incredibly fascinating is what happens when you get this.
So here's an example prompt. So the web service is orchestrating prompts. If it's recursive prompts like AutoGPT, or if it's just RESTful web service calls based on how the script needs to play out. You play the role of an airline passenger, you only answer as the passenger. This is what we tell GPT to talk. So when you guys type stuff into ChatGPT and try to get it to act a certain way or tell it to you like you're 5 years old, this is the same sort of idea. We say we want you to act like an airline passenger, and then we give it its variables so it plays out very, very dramatically differently. It can be randomized, and if you're very skilled, we can give you extremely difficult passengers to deal with.
So we showed you the good guy. Now we're going to show you the bad guy.
Okay, so this is a hard case. Let's see what they do after they're going to put us through the ringer, I think. Hang on.
Hi, sir. I'm going to need you to move back to your seat.
That's not going to work for me. This seat is much more comfortable, and I need to be able to rest on this flight. Can't you ask someone else to switch seats with me?
I understand that the seat is more comfortable, sir, but these seats are assigned when you purchase your ticket, so I'll need you to go back to your original seat.
That's not really fair. I'm not happy with this. Why don't you check and see if there are any seats available that you can switch me to instead?
Unfortunately, all of our seats are the same, so if I was to find you another seat, it would be essentially no different of an experience. I can certainly ask, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get you a different seat.
Well, that's not good enough. I paid for what I expected to be a comfortable flight, and I'm not getting that. This isn't acceptable. You need to do something.
So just remember, like, all of this is not scripted. This is in that matrix of being a bad guy. That's his language. That's what's going to happen. So it's really interesting. You can do these scenarios and set it up, and then all of this gets into the reporting. So instead of someone memorizing it, their experience really incredible situation. So we've got one with a screaming baby. We've got one that's going to be he had drank a little bit too much. One that's got claustrophobic and wants to get off the plane. So if you think of it, when we talk about these things, we're talking about the airlines, but it can just as easily be any of your organization the skills that you're looking for.
Absolutely. And when you think about the conventional way to build content, okay, say you want to have extra personas, that there's new safety elements within the airline that you need to train upon. And you have to build more characters and build more voiceover and build more narrative. And then you have to sign off on the narrative and go through. In this case, we just add more prompt engineering, and it scales extremely quickly. And
I think this is important. Like I was talking to a gentleman who had leadership content. And I said, you can now scale this to millions of people. Simple as that. If you've got content, you can scale it. You don't need a one-on-one coach role-playing. It's gone. So, if you're a facilitator, I'm sorry, but that's what happens, you're gone. So the issue is that the whole idea is that you can take your content that is very, very valuable, and now you can drop it down to scale, to thousands of people.
Okay, so that is it in a nutshell. Role-playing at scale, safe and cost-effective. You can let your employees handle really difficult people in a safe way. With a coach that's available to help them at any time. They can be a massive source of truth for, basically the entire organization's policies and procedures. That unto itself is getting tremendous attention. The fact that we can maybe install it into a Microsoft Teams channel, or some of the great products that we heard about today, Magic Leap and the others. You can add these AIs to the chat systems and to the groups, and it can be your single source of truth.
Yeah, so just one example with one of our clients, the American Red Cross. They have some very difficult questions that they have to ask people giving blood, your type of sex partner you have and how often you had that. And it gives them a chance to be able to test it in a safe environment and get the feedback. So it is really good for even expanding the life skills of the people that are working. So we're just excited about this because we think it's one of the few times where you take really great technology and put it into a solution that's broad-based for almost any industry whatsoever. So we've got about 3 minutes left. Is there any yes?
Please.
First of all, thank you. Great presentation. You spent considerable amount of time talking about the individual experiences, and you covered this quite well, but I'm confused with the name. It's TeamworkAR, right?
Yes.
Teamwork VR. So I spoke with someone on your stand, and they promised me there is some team experience within your VR solution. So if you could cover this, that would be really helpful.
Sure, so very good. So the fact is, we're showing you one-on-one training, but as far we can have group people be participating in this sort of scenario. I'll give you an example with the American Red Cross with phlebotomists. We have groups of 10 that will role play against each other, and then they'll have the instructor be able to go back and forth. And that's really the teamwork. But just as importantly, we can have people in the collaboration, similar to what you saw at the Magic Leap, can actually watch what's going on at the head office and make recommendations that they should have did this if they wanted to put a person there to be able to watch it. So you have that capability. That's where TeamworkAR as the platform comes in. Is there any other questions? Okay, so we hope you really enjoyed the presentation. And we're at 5:24. If you want to see it live, you can go down and ask some questions. I'll warn you, the internet is awful here. Sorry, so people should know that. But the thing is, you're going to wait a little bit on a response, but you'll be able to ask it any question, and you'll be able to fight with this difficult partner if you want, this passenger, to see what it's like. So once again, thanks everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.